Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Recount Watch. I'm your host, Eddy Layne, and of course, this evening I'm joined by no other than Joseph Hamilton, a candidate for the People's Progressive Party and constant, if you want to call it, on Recount Watch nightly. Joe, good evening and welcome to the program.
Hi, Eddie. Good night.
It is day 27 of the national recount of votes cast on March 2nd. Um, we are one day shy, or matter of fact, a few hours shy of 3 months since those elections. I always like to go back to give people an idea or a reminder as to what transpired shortly after the elections. As a matter of fact, the elections day activities themselves were deemed free, fair, and credible by all political parties that contested the elections, local and international observers, and of course, members of the diplomatic community who visited polling stations and participated um, in an observer status on elections day. Shortly after the vote, maybe about the 3rd or the latest, the 4th of March, the APNU AFC claimed victory. We had Mr. Granger meeting with his supporters, thanking them for their support. And I know on one occasion he said to them that um, by sunrise or by sundown tomorrow, he said to them, your president will be sworn in for a second term. The People's Progressive Party, Civic, and the other new political parties who saw what Mr. Mingo did on two occasions, on the 5th of March as well as on the 13th of March, um, resisted any attempts to allow Mingo's fraudulent figures to go forward. And here we are with a recount of the votes. I always like to give people a background as to the context in which we're going to have these programs. Joe, today I'm seeing here 97 boxes were completed. I'm going to quickly give a breakdown to the public. Region 4, 36 boxes. Region 6, 33 boxes. Region 9, 2 boxes. Well, Region 9 has been completed. And Region 10, 26 boxes. It therefore means the count remains for Region 4, Region 6, and Region 10. The tabulated boxes thus far are 1,780 for the general elections and 1,776 for the regional elections. Joe, despite all of this, 27 days, we have had quite an eventful period with the recount. I'm going to give you some opening comments, then we're going to go into some very, very serious issues, some very, very troubling issues with regards to what is happening with the recount.
What, Eddie, these last couple of days, it is saying to the Guyanese people is that from the inception, GCOM could have counted average 100 boxes per day. That is what it is saying to us, that it is because of their non-acceptance from the beginning of establishing more counting stations. And secondly, allowing APNU AFC to slow the process down by presenting those ridiculous objections that we will deal with in a short while. I get a sense from some of the posts coming out from the small parties, especially their members who are at the recount stations, gave the impression today that apparently at the Region 4 stations, APNU AFC agents somewhat have slowed down their madness regarding the objections. And if that is so, then that's a good sign that by weekend, this recount should be over and will be over. And so if they keep the trend the way they're going, I think right now, Eddy, if I'm right, less than 600 boxes to be counted. 599, I think I saw some number. So the 599 average 100 boxes per day. If we look at a 2-day trend, it means that in the next 6 days, they should be over and done with as regards the recount itself. And then Lowenfield would have to deal with the other matters. And then Claudette Singh and our commission would have to deal with a matter of the declaration of the results so that we can swear in the president elected to govern for the next 5 years, Mohammed Irfaan Ali. That is the way I see the next couple of days playing out and the next 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Joe. Regardless of, well, irrespective of the pace at which the recount is going, like you rightly said, the madness by the APNU AFC continues. The frivolous objections, the baseless objections, the objections and the allegations of irregularities and fraud without presenting any form of evidence continue with the coalition at the Recount Center. Now there are, and I want us to deal with some specific allegations of dead people voting, allegations of people who have migrated voting, and these are just numbers that are plucked out of thin air with absolutely no supporting evidence. Clearly, a fishing expedition by a desperate cabal who recognize that they have lost the elections. They have the same copies of statements of poll that the PPP would have received from GCOM. And like you always say, maybe by the morning of 4th of March, they knew that they lost the elections and they knew that the PPP won the elections. And likewise, the PPP knew that we won the elections and that they lost the elections. The fact of the matter is, despite all of that, they made several attempts using Mingo, and we'll talk about the Mingo fraud because that seems to be a taboo issue for the APNU AFC. Everything else is fraud for them except where there's evidence to show clearly that Mingo attempted electoral fraud, a criminal act. But what I want to do, Joe, is I want to share before we go into the program deeper. I want us to have some discussions around this particular video that I'm about to share, and I'm going to share it. These are persons who the cabal said are dead and voted on March 2nd. So we're going to show this video. We're going to have some discussions. I have some more videos that we're going to show throughout because we need to expose the lies and propaganda of this desperate AP and UFC cabal. So let me go straight to this video first, Joe, and then we'll come back and have some discussions.
This is my passport, and I'm a life man of this is my curriculum. I'm not there. My name is Eddy Layne, born on the 4th of August, 1986. I voted at the general and regional elections held on the 2nd of March, 2020. As you can see, I'm alive and well at the moment. This is my ID card. My ID card number is 146722492. Have a look again. Eddy Layne, 4th of August. I voted at the on the March 2nd election.
This is me. I am not dead. My name is Vijay Chandapal. I voted at CI Florida Higher Primary School last election. My address is 183 Blacklands, Florida Island. My name is Millicent Albert. I live at 24 Blacklands, Florida Island. And I am strong and still alive. I voted last election at CI Primary School. 4, Lady Bar, please start.
So, just the way, living community, what second of March, 2020, I'm alive. My name is Irfaan. I live in Irfaan. I got issues. I put my yesterday. All right, my name is Pastor Hamendra. Living in DSC Road. I'm alive. My name is Irfaan. This is my passport, and I'm alive, and I'm on this passport.
So, Joe, these are some of the people they claim are dead.
Well, as Amna said, they got up, voted for us, and then they went back. So apparently they have gotten up again, because the fact is that people are very much alive and well and are coming forward to debunk the lies peddled by the APNU AFC using their name. And so we await to see how the APNU AFC respond to the fact that people who they have indicated are deceased in several regions, they are coming forward, young and old, to present themselves as persons who are very much alive. Also, Eddie, I know you have other videos that you will show about persons who they claim don't live in Guyana, who have migrated and who were not in Guyana on the 2nd of March, 2020. A couple of things importantly, and it shows the competence level at GCOM. Because today, the PRO, after running from the press for 2 weeks or thereabout, spoke to the press today. And what she basically said, at least what was indicated with her responses, is that of the 207 names that were given to GCOM by the APNU AFC and subsequently sent to the Commissioner of Police to check to see whether these persons left Guyana and whether they returned to Guyana. She's indicated that GCOM did no checks or verification to determine whether these 207 names were ticked off on any list as persons who might have voted. And that informs us that this body just collected these names, did no verification of their own, and sent it off to Sidney James. And secondly, of the 207 names that were sent, he responded by saying that only 172 he could vouch for and clarify that they might be out of the country or out of the country. So what is happening, as we have been saying, it is just a wild fishing expedition. That is what APNU AFC is on. And as Norton said, that they will send these names as propositions to GCOM, and that is what it was. And GCOM itself, as of this moment, couldn't say to us whether the names sent to James, they were checked to see if these names were ticked off. on the list from which they were on. And she further went on to say that GCOM presently apparently is in no position to do that because, as she indicated, those boxes checked that these objections might have been raised at the recount stations. They're already sealed and they're back in the containers. And therefore you question what really is going on. We know what is happening as regards APNU AFC. They're in fiction land and fantasy land, but when you listen to what the PRO said today, Ms. Yolanda Ward, you shudder to think how this organization that is responsible for running and conducting our elections, how they really function.
But Joe, also interestingly, if you listen to what the PRO said, and the fact that these objections were raised at the recount of the box, when one looks at the statement of recount, I suspect many of those objections that were raised and those numbers that were submitted, many of those persons, if not all of them, didn't vote. And it's for this reason, I think, even the APNU AFC rep in there signed those statements of recount because they recognized that these objections were made, but many of these were not ticked. So maybe I'm seeing that the Commissioner of Police responded to say 173 of the 207 were overseas. I want to juxtapose that with the fact that when they call 60 and 50 and 40 names in the recount stations, maybe one is ticked or two is ticked. Maybe that is what accounted for the 30 odd who the Commissioner of Police said were in the country apparently. Out of the 270, he said 170 something, 76 I think it was, thereabout, was out of the country. So it clearly shows that APNU is on a fishing expedition and drops GCOM on what we call in Guyanese parlance a wild goose chase. So nobody checked to see if the 200 and odd names were ticked. And they sent the thing to the police. In essence, what the police commissioner said, yes, some of these people were overseas, but I can't tell you if they voted. That's your job. You're supposed to check the list. I want to make a point though, Joe, and having thought about this, I read the GCOM officials are saying that the statements of, the OLE in those boxes are OLEs that the party agents would have used and GCOM staff on elections day. Am I correct?
Yes.
So how do you determine, because you may have in a polling station of, let's say, 150 persons, maybe 100 out of those voted. The GCOM official, the presiding officer, may have ticked correctly that 100. But party agents may have overticked or underticked, if you want to call it. Maybe ticked 98 or maybe ticked 107, maybe by error or maybe deliberately so that they can create, because I know for a fact that those lists are not cross-matched. Are they?
The thing is, the PRO said that there was no validation with GCOM list and the other the party agents list.
That's the
so
point.
The point is, of this set of names, you can have different sets or different amounts of names crossed off or ticked off. That is the point. And the other important thing is that as the presiding officer and whoever is working, nowhere you can vouch for the presiding officer that all the names that were ticked off indeed voted, or the names that they ticked had any relationship to persons who might have voted. Because the point you raise, you can have, and even the PRO herself made a point about human error. So the thing is, no way you can attach any tick in real terms to a name and a serial number on any list. That is a fundamental issue here. And I suspect the commissioner of police, that was their position. You asked me to check to see of these names whom are out the country or might have been out of the country, and that is what it is. But there is no way you can attach the names to voting on elections.
Ballot. You can't attach it to a ballot.
No way you can attach the name to a ballot in any box. And therefore the question remains why the chairman allowed ourselves, as I'm quoting from LJP leader, why would she allow herself to go down this slippery slope where you have no facts to rely on? It is just speculation, it is just allegation, and according to Norton, now it is propositioned by the APNU AFC.
You see, I went through that, Joe, because I want to make the point that I think Guyanese need to recognize that we're dealing with a set of a bunch of wicked, devious, desperate people in the APNU AFC. So when all those lists are placed in the box, GCOM's copy went back. What exactly are we relying on, to verify those names that APNU plucked out of thin air? Because we heard Sanjeev last night talking about people calling for serial numbers that are not, that are way beyond the number on the list. We heard stories of people calling a list of serial numbers for a wrong box. We heard stories of people objecting to 6 names on a list when only 4 voted, when only there's 4 persons at the polling station. We heard story of people objecting to all the other names on a list except the 1 person who voted. So it is clearly a fishing expedition. What Joe Harman and the cabal wants to do is really, they want to create something to give to their supporters. They want to create something to give to their supporters. That is why we'll go to this next video, Joe, so we can show the Guyanese people how devious are the people we are dealing with. I'm going to bring up this other video here with regards to people who they claim were out of the country. Right? Let me get this started here.
My name is James Bola. Living at Pontiac, and I vote March 2nd, 2020.
My name is Tom Marcus. I live at Plantation Village, Public Road, and I voted on March 2nd, 2020, March 2nd, 2020.
Indira and Guyana Casal. I live at Lot G Plantation Village, Essequibo Coast, and I vote the 2nd of March 2020 election. I vote Soji Kudan. I vote the 2nd of March 2020. My name
I live at Hampton Street. On March 2nd, I vote at number 10
live in Guyana, not go Norway. This command for Guyana. Yeah, Guyana.
Amina from Morris, my Tony. I live in Guyana. I didn't leave the country. I can't remember how long, but I'm living here. I went and vote at least about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I don't know how these people could say that I'm not living here, sorry, that I'm not living here. Are these people crazy? I'm living here. I'm a resident of Mortis, Maituni. I born and grew here. I go to school here. I went to school here, and I'm living here.
My name is Amos Bola. Living at Pompiares, Kiruku.
So there you have it, Joe. And these are additional people. Last night we had the folks from Region 7, including a young man whose father is a counselor for APNU AFC in Bartica, including the wife of a prominent pastor. And I understand, based on what Gail said, the counselor, the APNU AFC counselor, both of his sons are listed as being overseas. These are the lies, misinformation, and propaganda that are being spewed by people like Joe Harmon, people like Aubrey Norton, and the others, to mislead and to misguide the people of this country and to create confusion deliberately in an electoral process that they themselves, along with everybody else, acknowledged was absolutely free, fair, and transparent on elections day. The only confusion, the only attempt to tamper with the elections came from Mr. Mingo on the 5th of March and the 13th of March. Joe.
The other thing, Eddie, I mean, we dealt there with the people who they allege are deceased and those who they allege have migrated. And we have people have been coming in as they hear their names being mentioned, and from all the regions. That is the thing. People from all the regions are coming forward to speak to this matter. The other lie told by Joe Harmon and APNU AFC is the suggestion that GCOM apparently disenfranchised some 8,000 disciplined forces members by not stamping their ballots. And everyone knows that there is no way you can know which ballot belongs to whom. But what is important is that we have counted so far in the recount, I think it's about 330,000 ballots or thereabout. And the PRO today indicated that the total amount of rejected ballots for all the regions and boxes so far counted is 1,536 rejected ballots. Further, she went on to say that the least amount of the 1,536 are ballots that were not stamped. She went on to say that most of the ballots are for people who did not, the presiding officer could not determine whether they were voting for which party. In some instances, people put several X's. In some instances, people put their names and that kind of thing. But the least of the amount was ballots that were not stamped with a 6-digit number. And therefore, Harmon and the APNU, and I saw former Army officer Gomes join the bandwagon, spewing the kind of nonsense via a letter. So you see, that is another lie told by but in the case of the lie told by Harman and the others regarding the disciplined forces vote, that's a very serious matter. It shows the point you were raising just now, how devious and evil these people are, that they would attempt to, by their lie, blatant lie, rile up the people in uniform by fabricating a story that is just fictional. And I want to see them respond to the fact that there's only 1,536 rejected ballots thus far, when we have already counted 330,000 ballots. There is no way near to this 8,000 that they're talking about. And in the first declaration, the total amount of ballots rejected in all the declarations wherever does not reach 5,000 rejected ballots. Does not. And the totality of rejected ballots has nothing to do with unstamped ballots. So that is the evil, you know, how evil and despicable the likes of Armand and Norton and Alexander and you know, for viewers today, someone sent me a post, Alexander, on Facebook, and he was gloating about Mingo fraud. Basically, he was suggesting that Mingo is the smartest of all the people who attempted fraud, because he traced elections 1997, 2001, 2006, 2011, whatever. And secondly, the guy indicated that he have information about fraud at elections in 1961. When in 1961, Alexander would have been just about 6 years old. You understand? You understand what is happening here? So he has information about fraud, tracing fraud, and was bold enough to say that Mingo is in good company of people who have attempted fraud in elections, but just that Mingo was smarter. Well, there are two things there. How can you be a commissioner for the entity that is responsible for running elections that must be, should be free, fair, and transparent? And apparently you have no difficulty at all with your registration officer who tampered with election results, not once, but twice. And you have no difficulty with that, but you're fetching along allegations made by the party you support, trying to make it fact about people who are deceased and people who are not living in Guyana, when those persons are living here and those persons are very much alive. And Eddie, you can't be diplomatic and have niceties anymore when you're discussing and you're talking about these guys, because these are people who are attempting to perpetuate the worst evil on the people of Guyana, trying to take away their vote, trying to suggest that their vote is not important. And once you do that, automatically you run a country into dictatorship. Because once it is not important anymore for elections to be free, fair, and transparent, it means that whichever party is in government can give us at any time any election results that they want to give us so that they can stay in power. That is why, and you have a man who's a commissioner of the body that is responsible. And therefore, I have no qualms in saying that one of the intellectual authors of the attempt to rig the elections of 2020 is Vincent Alexander. And I have said that even before elections, that all the shenanigans that were happening with the list, he was the person who was mostly involved in all the strategies and plans. Firstly, to take people off the list. That was his first devious plot when they attempted to do house-to-house registration. It had nothing to do with doing a new list and having the list pure. It was attempting to take people's name off the list. Secondly, when they didn't get through with that, they sought to merge the truncated house to house with the voters list or the NRR that was clean at the time. And now he is gloating about Mingo fraud instead of seeking to have GCOM calling the police to investigate the fraud. It shows the type of character those persons are. It shows how despicable they are, how devious and how evil they are. And that is the reason why we have to continue to fight them every day and every night. We cannot allow them to do that to this country.
There is also a pattern, Joe. When you look at and you listen to what are the statements coming out from these guys, you know, and I like to go back, I mentioned it at the beginning of this program. The fact that they started just after the elections. I was looking at a video today, Harman saying based on the declarations, APNU FC won the elections, and all that needed to be done is for an official declaration. Remember Basil Williams heading into his vehicle, and you know, and he himself said on election just after the elections that the process was credible, was free and fair. The same sentiments were expressed by a lot of leaders in the coalition. Those were the sentiments by the chair of GCOM. The observers, the local and international observers, all said that the elections were free, fair, and credible on the day itself. You know? The point I want to make is that when you listen to the lies coming out from this coalition, they had 2,239 or 339. The figures always get me mixed up there. On agents on elections day, they had their candidates moving from polling station to polling station to interact with their agents to find out if everything is going fine. You had the international community, you had international observers, you had local observers, you had staff from GCOM. Now, almost 3 months after the elections, you were claiming victory. You realize there is a recount that will unmask the Mingo fraud, that will expose the reality that you lost the elections, and you just decided you were going to start talking about irregularities, and you're going to start compiling long lists without no evidence, and you're going to put Aubrey Norton and Cathy Hughes and David Patterson and all of them to go out there and lie to this nation. These people, I think the fundamental objective here, the objective of all of this is that they need to, one, they need to tell their supporters something, that they lost the elections, but they want to blame the PPP for losing the elections. They don't want to take the blame for destroying the economy. They don't want to take the blame they don't realize that they lost the elections because they fire close to 30,000 people, or over 30,000 people lost jobs, and that number continues to climb. That they fired the sugar workers. They don't want to take the blame that they took the money from the treasury that could have gone towards building this country, building the economy, and provide a better life for people. But they took that money and they pumped it into Durban Park. And they took the money, and one man decided he's going to take over $200 million to do a feasibility study for a bridge for an unsolicited bid. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about it took away the school children's grant. Those are the factors that are responsible for them losing the elections, not the PPP and not no irregularity. The only fraud in the electoral process that was committed is this the claimant Mingo stealing over 22,000 votes, if I'm correct here, Joe. Is it 22? Yeah, 22,000 votes. Parting the votes for the APNU and stealing votes from the PPP. That's the reality. That's the fraud. What is sad? What is and it's not surprising. What is sad really is the fact that Alexander, Harman, and all the others refuse to speak about what we have evidence for. That is Mr. Mingo thieving votes on behalf of the coalition. Why aren't we looking at that? Why aren't they mentioning that? What Alexander did is to glorify the man. Is to say the man is in good company, but the man is smarter. You know? That is what we have.
Well, Eddie, how you expect them to speak about their co-conspirator getting caught? You have to remember, and everything that is playing out, Mingo was not on his own. Mingo was a participant of a political plot hatched by PNC, APNU, AFC, a political plot that involved the commissioners representing the government at GCOM. That is what Mingo didn't went out on a frolic of his own. Mingo was just carrying out a fraudulent exercise that was hatched by the leadership of the coalition. And therefore, if they condemn Mingo, they would be condemning themselves, because the fraud is theirs, it belongs to them. So that is why they don't speak to it or speak about it at all. And they will never speak about it. The fact that people are coming forward now, Eddie, to say I'm alive and I'm here, I never left Guyana to live overseas, I am waiting anxiously in the next 24 hours to see how they respond to that. What new lies they will respond, what new lie they would bring to the Guyanese people to respond to the fact that this person that you said was not here to vote and somebody voted in their place, or this person that you said is deceased and somebody voted for them. They're very much here. I want to hear them respond to that.
And you know, Joe, in addition to that, the fact that they're even going after their own supporters, they're claiming that their own supporters are dead or out of the country. This is desperation. What APNU did is to throw all of its polling agents under the bus by saying that these people somehow colluded with the PPP and GCOM to have dead people vote and to have migrants voting. You know, any political party, and we know that for a fact that APNU would have selected its best, well, its best, you know, its strongest people, and placed them in polling stations. They would have trained those people to detect certain things. Let's say you have over 2,000 polling agents. Let us just say, okay, some of them colluded. All of them did? So you're going to say all of them You recruited them, who are your supporters, and you placed them in the polling stations. Are you saying that they are PVP supporters that you recruited and placed there? Are you saying that people like Alexander Lowenfield and the others who hired the staff of GCOM, are you saying that they deliberately hired PVP supporters who colluded with the PVP to rig the elections? Are you saying that the PVP was that good that it recruited people to go and vote multiple times or vote for other people after finish voting for themselves or before voting for themselves? The Guyanese people, Joe, are not that crazy. Guyanese are smart people. And even the supporters of the coalition have recognized that the stories that they're telling are what we call Nancy stories. That is what Joe Harman and Christopher Jones and all of them talking. Nancy's story. Nobody would believe that your own supporters, your own agents would go in there and collude in over 2,000 polling stations to put you out. But then if that happened, then you deserve to be out, because it means your own supporters, the best that you recruit, don't want you. You know, it's Nancy's story. These guys are living in a bubble.
But Eddie, they don't care. They don't care because the important thing for them is attempting to stay in power. That is the important thing. The other important thing for many of these guys is that they know the scale of corruption they were involved in, and so they're afraid of jail time. You know, so that is why they believe that the only thing that can save them from jail time is to stay in power and to stay in government, and that is why they're fighting, and that is why every day they're coming up with different lies to sell to the Guyanese people. But you're correct. The Guyanese people, regardless who they voted for March 2nd, they're smarter than these people. And, you know, as the EU ambassador indicated a couple of days ago, that the worst thing he sees happening is people attempting to insult the intelligence of the Guyanese people. And that is what they continue to do every day, to try to suggest that the elections was not credible. And for Arman, you know, he said it was not credible, but we still win it. You know, the point is the boxes that are being opened every day does not it don't bear out that nonsense that and he knows that. He knows that very well. And so, Eddie, as we continue to say that we have to be vigilant for the next couple of days, for the next 2 weeks at least, and we have to ensure that as fast as APNU AFC come forward with their lies and fabrication, we challenge them and debunk them expeditiously, so that they have to go again and to make some more lies, some new lies. And that is what we are doing. And for viewers, that is why these programs are necessary and important, you know. And some people would say, you know, some of the things that you say tonight, we heard them already. Yes, it is important. That is the reason why we keep saying them, so that you would not forget what is responsible for us being where we are, when we should have had a government in place, a president in place 3 months ago, doing the people's business. That is what we should have had, but we are not there yet because of the attempted fraud by Granger and his cabal. And everything that we said, all the results that were made available from the 9 districts, all of them, they're matching, the SOPs are matching the SORs with just minimal variances, couple votes here and there. But the variance in the election is the Mingo fraud that we saw of the 85 boxes on the East Bank, and when we finish North Georgetown and we go to East Coast, we would see more of Mingo's fraud in the villages as we go along the East Coast corridor. We would see how stark this fraud was, making votes for APNU and taking away votes from the People's Progressive Party Civic. But we have to continue to persevere. We have to continue to speak to the people of Guyana, Eddy, and we have to continue to challenge APNU AFC when they come forward with the lies and the fabrication. And that is our job, because the fight, as I continue to say, is between democracy and dictatorship. That is what this fight is about. Once we allow one time Granger and his cabal to take away our vote and our right to vote, we have lost it. We would lose it forever. 2015, we would lose it. 2030, we would lose it. And that's why this 2020 fight is necessary and important for us to make the necessary sacrifices that we are making.
And Joe, I want to also add that, and I don't want to alarm people, but as you can clearly see, the desperation of this cabal will even get worse as we go deeper into this recount, because most of the other regions are completed. We just have Region 6, Region 10, and Region 4 being counted. 10 and 6 are likely to finish within the next few days. And just Region 4, like you said initially, that maybe by the end of this week, we are expected to be through the process. What this process will do, and is currently doing, is that it's exposing the Mingo fraud. What it's also doing is that it's confirming, excuse me, and it's vindicating the People's Progressive Party Civic. We uploaded the copies of the statements of poll that we received from GCOM. So it's not our copies, we didn't create them. These are GCOM documents that are each and every political party must receive. Excuse me. We put together, it's confirming, it's vindicating the party because it's showing that our numbers and the numbers in the recount are similar. It is also bringing the supporters of the coalition and the leaders in the coalition back to reality that APNU AFC lost the elections. Joe, I'm going to give you your closing comments.
Eddy, we know that Region 9 was completed today, and it confirms that we won Region 9 by over 2,000 odd votes. And this SOR is actually similar to this statement of poll. And therefore, we know that Region 6, we would win that. When the SORs are made available, I think Region 6 just have like 60 or 68 boxes or something like that to complete, something like that. I think I saw some posts by someone. And Region 10, I think, has somewhere about 70 boxes to complete. And therefore, at that time, when those are completed, all the effort, the 12 stations would be put to Region 4 to have that completed expeditiously. And so we say to members, we say to comrades, we say to viewers, we say to all Guyana, just be patient for the next 2 weeks. This travail will be over. You will get the president you voted for sworn in, and you will get the government you voted for to be in place so that we can deal with the problems that are facing this great and beautiful country of ours.
All right, Joe. I just want to to give the accurate figure there. I know you were talking on top of your head. I'm seeing here Region 6 have just about 77 boxes remaining. while Region 10 has 65 boxes remaining. So those two regions are expected to be completed within a matter of days. Region 4, however, has somewhere around 400 and, let me get this correctly, 400 and just about 410, 417 boxes thereabout to be completed. And obviously, when the two other regions are completed within days, those stations are likely to go to Region 4. So by the end of the week, I suspect we can, if we continue with the same number, we have just about 500 odd boxes to be counted. And if you continue with about 100 thereabout per day, you're likely to finish by the end of the week with this. I want to join you, Joe, in saying that, you know, I want to say to the supporters of the People's Progressive Party and to Guyanese at large, because many people who may have supported the coalition saw what happened and they have now are on the side of democracy, that to be patient. We are very close to the end of this process. It has been quite an eventful, hard, tough 3 months almost. Tomorrow marks the 3 months. It has been frustrating for many people. The point is that we together as a people, and I want to remind people of the theme under which the People's Progressive Party civic campaign for the elections was held, that is stronger together for a better Guyana. So, you know, we're stronger together as a people, and we have together as a people, we have to fight off any attempts at derailing our democratic gains over the years, and to ensure that we preserve our democracy and that we be on the right side, the side of the rule of law, the side of the Constitution, and the side of democracy. So the struggle has been hard, but we're close to the end of this struggle. So I want to encourage you to be patient and to continue to follow what is happening. This is our Guyana, a Guyana for all of us, and we all have a right to protect our democracy and to stave off, to fight off any attempt at taking us down the road of dictatorship. I want to close also by saying that we will continue to expose the lies and propaganda, the misinformation that is coming out of the coalition cabal, the desperate cabal who have lost elections and are clinging to any straw, you know, to try to derail the process. The fact of the matter is, they claim people are overseas and voted, they claim people are dead and voted, and people are coming forward and they are showing that they were in Guyana and that they are not dead. So we will continue to do this. Joe, I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening, so that we can talk to the people of this country. And also, I should have mentioned earlier that our stream is being broadcast live in the New York tri-state area this evening through the Farouk Tuman radio. Thanks, Farouk. And of course, we want to say that we're happy that we can get our message. We can bring the facts to the people, not only in Guyana, but our Guyanese brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Joe, thanks again.
Hey, Eddie. Good night.
And thanks to our viewers. Have a good rest of the evening. Bye for now.